everyone, welcome to the Jayda and Stitches show. Today we have got part one of a two-part video tutorial series on making our brand new big polka dot granny square baby blanket. Today's tutorial is going to be on how to make our brand new 6-inch big polka dot granny square. And we'd like to thank Lion Brand Yarns for sponsoring today's video. We are going to use Pound of Love by Lion Brand for our squares today. Pound of Love is a 100% acrylic, size 4, medium weight yarn. It is super soft. It comes in a bunch of pretty colors. We've linked to lionbrand.com down below so you can check them out for yourself. And if you're new to crochet, this is the kind of yarn I recommend for beginners. It's soft, it's easy to use, the colors are really pretty, and it's very forgivable. So if you make some mistakes, you can frog it and it doesn't pill up on you. I'm going to be making a 12 square baby blanket, or a 3x4. So I've already made all 12 of my squares. I made 6 of them with a white center and a pink background, and 6 of them with a pink center and a white background. These are the colors pastel pink and antique white in the Pound of Love. And I love the pink. It's got kind of almost a little bit of a lilac flavor to it. And the antique white looks like vanilla ice cream. So thumbs up for both those colors from me. I would consider today's tutorial relatively easy for beginners. So if you're brand new to crochet, but you've already tried your hand at making a granny square, you shouldn't find this particular square difficult. But we're going to take you through it step by step like we always do. So let's grab our hooks, grab a couple pounds of love, we'll head on over to the craft table, and we will stitch up some brand new granny squares together. For our big polka dot granny squares today, we are using Pound of Love by Lion Brand. Pound of Love is a 100% acrylic, a super soft acrylic, size 4, medium weight. Each ball has over 1,000 yards in it. I've got pastel pink and antique white here today, and per square you need about 30 yards. That's 12 yards for the center, 18 yards for the background. And I'll be making 6 with a white center, pink background, and 6 with a pink center, white background. If you're making an entire blanket, a 3x4 like me, you're going to want an additional 50 yards or so for the border and joining. And if you're making a larger blanket, let's say a 4x5 or a 20 square blanket, you might want around 60 to 70 yards for your blanket border and joining. You're going to want a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and the hook I'm using is a 5.5 millimeter, also known as an I or a 9 in the US. And once you've got all that together, we can get started. Please visit our shop and purchase a pattern. It helps support our show, and we'll put a link to our shop in the description box down below. We're going to start with the center of our circle, so grab the color that you're going to make your first circle with. And we're going to start with a cinch circle. If you need help with the cinch circle, we've got a much more in-depth tutorial on how to do that, linked down below. We want nice, tight circle centers for our granny squares. Once you've chained that first chain to secure your circle, you're going to chain 2 more. For row 1, this chain 3 will count as a double crochet. We're going to double crochet 11 times into our cinch circle, taking care to make sure we're working over top of that short tail so we can cinch the circle shut when we're done. Once you've worked 11 double crochets into your cinch circle, including the chain 3, that'll equal 12. Grab your little short tail, cinch it up nice and tight, and you see you can't see the hole in the center, and that's what we're going for here. You're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3, because that chain 3 does count as a double crochet for that first row. For rows 2 and 3, the chain 3 at the beginning of the row will not count as a double crochet, and you'll see why as we get there. So we're going to chain 3. We are going to work a double crochet into the same stitches joining. So you pull up on that chain 3, you're going to double crochet into the same place, and then we're going to work 2 double crochet in each of the next 11 stitches all the way around. So this is your first stitch that you're working into right here. Work 2 double crochet into it, and then 2 double crochet into each of the next now 10 stitches. So I'm working over top of my little short tail. You don't have to do that. You can leave your tails out and weave them in at the end. But I do like to work over top of my short tails because I feel like it just speeds up that little tail weaving in process. Once you've worked 2 double crochet into each of those stitches all the way around, you'll be back to the beginning and you're faced with what we call the false stitch. This is created every single time you work in a round and you join with a slip stitch. If you're working right-handed, it sits to the bottom right of your chain 3 or your turning chains, or the first chains at the beginning of the row. If you're working left-handed, it'll sit to the left. For the purpose of this pattern, we are going to double crochet into that false stitch, so we are using it. We're going to skip the chain 3, find the top of the first real double crochet, and join with a slip stitch to it. That will press the chain 3 to the back, and you will not have a gap in your circle. So you have a perfect, no gap, closed circle. That is row 2. We have 12 stitches in row 1. We have 24 stitches in row 2. Remember, we don't count the chain 3 now. Row 3, we're going to chain 3 to begin. This will also not count as a double crochet. It will also be pushed to the back once we finish the row. We are going to double crochet once into the same stitch that we joined in. We're going to double crochet into the next stitch. So that gets us started. And now we are going to repeat the following pattern 11 times. We are going to work 2 double crochet into the next stitch. And double crochet once into the stitch after that. So 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, all the way around. And I'll hook back up with you at the beginning. Once you've worked that little repeat all the way around of 2 double crochet into the first stitch of the set, double crochet once into the next set, all the way around, plus those first 2 double crochets you made, remember we're not counting the chain 3, you should have 35 double crochet. We're going to double crochet into the false stitch, skip the chain 3, find the top of the first real double crochet, and join with a slip stitch. You will have 36 double crochet all the way around, a perfect circle with no gaps. That's it for the middle of our polka dot. You can snip your yarn, fasten off, and if you're like me and you're making a whole bunch, you might want to make several of these before you start adding on your backgrounds. So I'll be making 6 of each color, so 6 white centered and 6 pink centered granny squares for today's blanket. When you're ready to add the background color for your polka dot granny square, you can weave in your tails or work over top of them. That's what I'm going to do. Take your second color. We're going to start with a slip knot on our hook. I like to join my yarn with a slip stitch right in the same place where I fastened off the other yarn. So I just sort of lift up on that knot, slip my hook in, and slip stitch. I'm going to work over both of my tails. That slip stitch is the first stitch of the row, and now we are going to square up our circle. So here we go. Into the next stitch, we're going to single crochet, half double crochet into the next stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, and treble crochet into the next stitch. So treble crochet, you wrap twice before you pick up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull back through 2, 3 times. So we've got slip, single, half, double, treble. You can see we're starting a sort of a straight line off the corner of our circle. Chain 2, and now we're going to make it small again. Into the next stitch, we're going to treble crochet, double crochet into the next stitch, half double crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, and slip stitch. The slip stitch will be at the middle of your little repeat. So if you kind of think of it like slip, single, half, double, treble, chain 2, and then you come down. Treble, double, half, single, slip, and then you go back up again. Single, half, double, treble. And there you go. You have created a corner, and you can see how it squares off. Once you've worked your first treble, chain 2, and then you go in reverse again. Treble into the next stitch, and then double, half, single, slip. Then back up again. Single, half, double, treble. And you're going to repeat that all the way around. Don't forget, after you work that last treble, you chain 2 before you start the whole thing all over again, because the chain 2 is what creates our little corner spaces. I'll see you back at the beginning. Once you've worked that little pattern all the way around, you might want to pull up on your loop, grab those 4 corners and pull them out, and you can see you've squared the circle. To finish this row, you will come up against the false stitch, because we were working in the round and you always get that false stitch. You're going to ignore it. Instead, you're going to reach across to that slip stitch that you joined with. It's very, very small, so you can either join with a slip stitch in the same place that you joined, or grab the actual slip stitch, which is small, and slip stitch to join. You can do it either way. Basically, you're going to have 9 stitches, including the slip stitch, across each side, and you want 4 chain 2 corners. You'll have 36 stitches in total. We're going to chain 3, and we're going to double crochet in each stitch, so the top of the single crochet, the top of the half double crochet, the top of the double crochet, the top of the treble crochet, and into the chain 2 corner space. A little knot in my tail, there we go. 2 double crochet into the chain 2 corner space, chain 2 for the corner, and 2 more double crochet into the space. So every corner is treated with 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Everything else is just a double crochet all the way across. So when you leave the circle, or the little corner I should say, don't miss the first stitch top. Sometimes our stitches in the corners will sort of sit over top of them, so pull back, don't miss it. You're double crocheting in the top of the treble, into the top of the double, the half, the single, and don't miss the slip stitch. You want to make sure you double crochet into the top of that slip stitch too. So get all 9 of those stitches from the previous row. You're double crocheting into the top of every single one of them. And then when you get to the corner, your chain 2 corner, you're going to work 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet into that corner before you leave. And then it's just double crochet in every stitch up to the next corner. Don't miss the little slip stitch and don't miss the top of that first stitch as you leave the corner. And I'll catch up with you back at the beginning. Once you've double crocheted in the top of every single stitch from the previous row, plus 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet in every corner, that brings you back to the beginning. Your last double crochet is worked into the top of the single crochet from the previous row, and you've got that little false stitch there. This time we're going to skip it. We're going to treat the top of the chain 3 as the start and finish of our row. So the chain 3 does count as a double crochet in the case of this row. I find using double crochets and squaring it up, you don't have to end up with such a gap like you do when you're doing circles. Pull up on your loop, find your 4 corners, lay them out, give them a little stretch so you can really see that nice little square going. And you'll be almost at 5.5 inches. To make this a 6-inch square, we're going to add another row of plain double crochet all the way around, and this will size up to roughly a 6-inch square. It might be a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller depending on your personal tension, but the last row is a repeat of the row we just did. So we chain 3 to begin. That will count as a double crochet. This is the first stitch that you work into right here. You're going to double crochet in each stitch up to the chain 2 corner. When you get to the chain 2 corner, you're going to work 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet into the corner. So just like the previous row. I'm in the corner now, so I'm working 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet into that corner. There we go. And now, same thing as before, don't miss that first stitch when you leave. And double crochet in every single stitch all the way across. So same thing as the row before, and I'll catch up with you at the beginning. Just like the previous row, when you get all the way back to the beginning, mind that false stitch. It sits right at the base of your the chain 3 that started. You're going to skip it. You're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 that began the row. And then take a moment to pull out the 4 corners of your little square. And we're at a little over 6 inches, so just about 6¼ inches or 16 centimeters, so roughly a 6-inch square. Now this is going to vary based on your own tension, and of course if you block your squares you can size them up a little bit, or you can even make them a little bit smaller. But that is your 6-inch square. Once you're done, you can fasten off, weave in your tails, and then you want to square up the circles for the rest of your little polka dot granny squares. Make as many as you need. If it's a 3x4, you want 12. If it's a 4x5, you want 20. And if it's a 5x6, you want 30 little squares. And once you've got a pile of those, you can join them all together. I went ahead and made 6 of each. So I've got 6 with the white center, pink background, and 6 with the pink center, white background. And all 12 of these are going to be turned into a baby blanket. I think if I were to describe the word joy, it would be piles of brand new, fresh granny squares, all perfectly blocked and sitting on my craft table, waiting to be turned into a new project. I just love these. They're so simple in their design, but they're so cute and they're so pretty, and we can't wait to share the actual blanket tutorial with you, which is coming up. So, we hope you enjoyed making the granny squares along with us today, and we will see you soon here for part 2 on the Jayda InStitches show. Until then, stay safe, stay crafty, and have a great week. Bye, everybody!
Hi, everybody! Mr. InStitches here. Thank you for watching today. Here are some of our other videos you might be interested in. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.